the Finance Committee meeting, what is today, September 9th, 2021 comes to order. You have agendas in front of you. Do I hear a motion to accept the agenda as presented? Steve, Paul, second it. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Public comment? Pretty full room. I thought maybe we'd have somebody. Yes, yeah.
I'd like to remind everybody about the electronics recycling event this Saturday.
What's the hours on that?
I believe it starts at 7:30, 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock. People usually lined up well in advance or whatever time it starts.
The same location as
So
last
right here
year.
at the Big R parking. Stock and save, whatever you call
And closes what time? 12 noon or something?
it. I
Probably
imagine
afternoon
something
sometime.
like that, when they get filled up with stuff.
Okay. Any other public comment?
That's all I got.
We'll move on to John Ruff. Presentation by Jane, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that name.
It's okay. I have a couple handouts that I passed out just to kind of highlight some of the things that we wanted to touch on. And first of all, thank you everybody for having us in here this morning. I've got with me Brian McNamara as well. We are with Jano Technologies, and what we do is we specialize in helping county offices with IT infrastructure. The first slide that we have here kind of talks about two things that I want to kind of touch on. One of them is responsiveness, and the other one is partnership too. One of the things that we pride ourselves on is responsiveness. And one of the things that I hear in most county offices that I go into is that when they have an IT issue, a lot of times they don't know where to go with it, or when they report that it's, that they've had the situation, sometimes it takes multiple days in order for those things to get resolved. We're an organization right out of Champaign County. So one of the things that we pride ourselves on is having our responsive turnaround times within like 24 hours. So, and I think that was something that you guys had a little bit of an obstacle with before. The next slide talks a little bit about where we are right now with response to technology. Now, obviously, we've had times where we've had to shut down the courthouses across the state, as well as we've had to do things remotely. We're a company that has been working, as I mentioned, in the county offices for over 30 years as a family-owned business. And what we've done is we've specialized in helping courthouses stay open and still be able to be productive during times when people are down, okay? So that's one of our big things. If you go to the next slide here, it shows how many county offices that we're in. And we're very proud of that because, like I said, what we do is we specialize just in Illinois and just in county offices. So right now you can see we've got 10 different counties that are using, and we've got over 70 different agencies across Illinois that are using our services as well. Just to talk a little bit about those services, I've got Brian McNamara with me, and Brian, I'll go ahead and let you talk.
Hello, everyone can hear me, right? We're good? You can hear me? Okay, I'm Brian McNamara. I head the IT services team here in Illinois, based out of Champaign, like John was saying. I want to say thanks for your time. I appreciate it. I'll try to keep this concise, is what we're looking for. In regards to IT services, we want to keep one thing first and foremost, and that is our mindset and our passion, which is IT security. That's what drives us and our organizations that we help manage. From that, we want to be an actual information technology partner. What the hell does that mean? Well, that means that I want you and our team to empower you and feel like we're in the trenches with you, right? Pick up the phone, hit us up. If you're having a problem, let us know. Me personally, I'm hopeful that if you are seeing an issue, we're actually already detecting that issue and responding to it before you even are aware of the issue. Speaking of that, so cyber is kind of important. Ransomware, everyone's heard about it. I'll share a story about kind of our experience with it. Back in Thanksgiving 2019-ish, I was at another company, but the same rigmarole happened. unbeknownst to us, there was a threat actor that had been on the network for about 60 days. That's what we found out post-mortem, which we found out at that time is kind of like typical. They actually get in, they did their thing on Thanksgiving, they encrypted everything at that not-for-profit organization. Their physical servers, their virtual servers, pretty much made everything unusable. The unique thing about this not-for-profit, though, is kind of crazy, is they, in their bylaws, literally were not allowed to store customer or client information off-premise. So that, as us as IT, were like, oh crap, how do we get stuff off-premise? So they had this procedure in place where an individual was supposed to take information, put it in the trunk of their vehicle, like their little hard drives, right? And make sure things were backed up. Unfortunately for us and for that organization, when we got them back up and running after about 20 days, they were pigeonholed because their data was about 18 months old. That was their latest data. So there's that. Then leap forward to a little bit different process and experience for one of our clients in 2021, earlier this year. So with that particular client, they had a cyber incident. Fortunately for us, our tools that we use and implement were able to detect that issue. We were alerted to it. We verified the issue. Within 15 minutes-ish, that particular end user's workstation was taken offline, and within 2 hours, roughly give or take, we had their organization fully back up with data that was about 15 minutes old. So stark contrast. So that's kind of just stories. I know y'all hear them. Seriously, the pipeline issue, like seriously, it's real. If you don't have a disaster plan in place, a really good backup plan, literally it's not if or when that you're going to rely upon that. So please, please, please do it. There's 4 things to our security mindset that I want to touch on that are actually in the slides, but I'll tell you everyone else. We integrate security early and often. What that means is before any business that we assist makes any type of decisions, we're trying to make sure that they're cognizant of the security implications. Secondly, we make security a responsibility of everyone in that organization. So I don't care if it's a circuit clerk, a judge, maintenance employee, it doesn't matter. I want security being the first and foremost something they're thinking about and understanding the implications that they have on the organization. Thirdly, I want me personally to automate everything on our team. First and foremost, it's very imperative. Just like the organization, the not-for-profit that had issues in Decatur with their data, if they would have bought into automating that process of getting their data, their backups off-site, it would have been a moot point. We would have been able to get them up fairly quickly. So taking out human error out of some of this. And then finally, we want to simplify security processes and technologies. You may ask, what the heck does that mean? Well, I'll give you one. There's something, anybody here use Microsoft 365? Sure, yep. Okay, I see nods, all right. No one wants to raise, that's fine. All right, so what's a simple security thing? Do you guys use it only in the state of Illinois? Use it in the US? You travel abroad with it and use it? No? Most of the time people say no to that. There's a little known, anybody familiar with the thing called geofencing? Okay, all right, cool. So one of the cool things you can do with Microsoft 365 is enable geofencing on that service. So we can essentially admit or stop a lot of the attack vectors that are happening outside of our country, right, and even outside of the state of Illinois, by not allowing you to authenticate outside of these geofenced locations. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I appreciate your time. That's us in a nutshell. Again, 4 things. We want to integrate security early, to make security everyone's responsibility, distributed workflow. and then automate everything, and finally, simplify security processes. Thanks.
As Brian mentioned real quickly, we're seeing a lot more attacks coming across now that people are using remote access a lot more than they did before. He mentioned the first one that happened was in Macon County. Luckily, they only got through the first layer of servers over there. The most recent attack we just saw was probably about a month ago, and it was in St. Clair County, and then it went to Clinton County after that. So they're happening more often. The reason why they're happening is because we're opening up the outside to remote access, and really why we're here this morning to talk with you guys is because we want to be able to be a partner for you guys to help you through that world in a different way than what you're doing right now, in a more responsive way. Okay? Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you. Moving on, open and take action on health insurance bids. Which envelope will go? Opener.
I don't, I'm sorry. We can do if you would. Or you've got, there you go, Jay has a tool.
Hey, all right.
Okay.
Monterey Health Insurance.
Who's this one? Loman Ray?
Yeah. Recent bid information. Yeah, I don't have time to read through this whole thing.
Charlie, do you want to ask if anybody's here from Loman Ray?
Yeah, is anybody here? No. You got a hunt for it.
I think it's here under proposals.
Health insurance proposal. I guess we have a Health Alliance current plan, Health Alliance current plan, two of them, I guess. I don't know what difference are on that. And again, alternate number one plan and an alternate number two plan. We need to read the bottom line in these or what?
Yeah.
Family,
Mhm.
first one, Health Alliance current plan, $1,771. That's for the family. Do you want to read the
Yeah,
employee
so
all the
we
way
need
down?
Mhm.
Employee, $556. Employee plus children, $1,086. Employees plus spouse, $1,024. Family, $1,771. Okay. Another current plan is employees, $611. Employee children plus children, $1,194. Employee spouse, $1,125. And last is family, $1,946. And alternate number one, Health Alliance plan is $605 for employee, $1,182 for children. employee plus spouse, $1,114, and family, $1,927. Second alternative plan is $682 for employee plus children, $1,137, employee spouse, $1,072, and family is $1,854. Do you have anything else?
I just wanna make sure that they only had Health Alliance.
Oh, has it got more of them? Is that continuation of the first one?
No, these are all the same. But I wanna make sure that they're not quoting any other carriers besides Health Alliance.
BBC rate is the same.
Okay.
Maybe it's just a misprint.
Okay, yeah, that's all for Bowman Gray.
Do you have any others yet?
Yeah, I have 2 others. We have 3 total.
Second is Homestar Insurance Services.
And Homestar is here,
We're here to present.
so if they
Okay.
want,
You want to present it?
Sure. Will the other brokers be leaving while we present?
What?
Will the other brokers here who are bidding be leaving while we present our presentation?
what did we decide on that, Brian? Did they,
I
They
don't
did that in
remember
the
any
past.
discussion, but I think that they probably should.
okay,
have
Ask them to
everybody be
step
about
out.
acceptance.
okay.
And you have copies for you guys as well.
Okay.
Thanks. So if we wanted, are we going just straight to the bids? Because we can go to that. If you go to the renewal exhibit, the medical renewal exhibit. So what I have, it's gonna be, yep, right down here. The one right before that, Charlie. Okay, so what we have guys is we do have our Health Alliance at our current plan, which is the 9.9% renewal coming in. I do have some alternates from Health Alliance that I have included in here as well. If you guys all have a medical.
Thank you.
It's right there. Great, this is right there.
Oh,
There you go. We do have, that's at the 9.9% renewal, and I actually had an alternate, 2 different alternates from Health Alliance that do bring your rate down from the 9.9. The first alternate would be a 7.92 renewal. That does change the plan a little bit, and I've indicated those changes in red under the plan design. And then if we flip the page to the next page, and the back page does show like a breakdown. I like to show what the cost would be for each plan for the employee per paycheck as well as for the employer, so you guys know what your cost is gonna be. I also indicated below here, you guys have the HRA through BPC, and I've indicated kind of down here what your exposure is for an employee or for a family, and what, if you were to keep that HRA the same, what your exposure would be if we were to make some plan changes. Because right now you have that $7,300 deductible, 100% coverage after that. These other plan designs that I have a coinsurance of like 80%. So then you're gonna have some coinsurance on top of that deductible. So it's a little different of a plan structure. The second alternative I have is again through Health Alliance, and that brings us down to 6.85% for the current, or for the plan if we were to make a change to that. Now, being your current broker, I was able to get a final rate for Blue Cross for 10-1, but with the RFP being sent out, the final rates for Blue Cross are here for the 3 brokers that have submitted the health insurance bids. So what that means is that the rate here, what I have here on our option, the 3rd page, under Blue Cross, is an option that is somewhat comparable to what you guys have now. Rule of thumb is to add 1% for each month going forward. That's what I have done. But Deb Simmons had dropped this off last week with the final rates for Blue Cross Blue Shield. So whatever broker you do choose to continue with, those would be the rates for Blue Cross Blue Shield going forward. And I will tell you too, if you do bundle, like if you were gonna go with Blue Cross Blue Shield and we bundled the dental, the life, and the vision, you do get some discounts on that health insurance premium that most likely is not listed. The rate that you have for the medical here is a straight medical rate. It's not listed with those discounts if you were to bundle those packages together, okay? And through the exhibit here, I do have the dental exhibit showing a Blue Cross rate as well as the life exhibit. So at that point, if you were to look at like Blue Cross, like I said, the other brokers will have that same quote or the same rates. The other thing with Blue Cross Blue Shield, you guys, with Health Alliance, the commission is not included in your rates here. So we charge, for the consulting fee, we charge it quarterly because we are not paid commission by Health Alliance. So that consulting fee through Health Alliance is a $60 an hour fee, not to go over $20,000 annually. We have not gone over 10,000. In my packet here, it says 11,000, but I redid my math. We haven't even gone over 10,000, charging you guys in a consulting fee for the past years, each year. It's been under that. So that's something nice. With Blue Cross Blue Shield, with groups under 150, which is where you guys fall, they will not take out the commission. So the commission is included in the rates. It would be paid directly to the broker, and we wouldn't be charging a consulting fee anymore because we're being paid through Blue Cross Blue Shield for the service. So that's something to think about too. Any question? I can go over everything. I know you guys have a lot to go through today with a lot more presentations. I know we've been happy working with you guys. We hope to continue to work with you guys. Brina Carpenter and myself have really dedicated ourselves. It's been, I think, since 2014 that we've had you as a group. I know we are the ones who service it. I'm the agent. She's my associate account executive. We're the faces you're going to see at the meetings. We're the faces your employees are going to see when we're meeting with them. They're not handed off to us, another team to handle the servicing end. So that's something too I just would hope you guys would think about. Okay, wonderful, thanks. Any questions? Do you want us to stay around for questions after, or were you gonna make a decision today?
We're hoping to make a decision today.
Okay,
You wanna put the rates in the, in your minutes here, or you wanna take it off of that? For comparison purposes, what will we have when we get all the presentations done?
Yeah, Amanda's writing down
That's what,
Amanda's writing them down so we can discuss it after the presentations.
what page do I read to her on? Each page, something, or?
You're just taking them out of the book, are you?
okay.
So Susie, just to clarify,
Yes.
current plan is a 9.9%
Yes,
increase. If we decide to go with your renewal option 2, it's 7.92.
with the renewal option one, renewal
I'm
option
sorry,
two
and then
comes
2
down
is
to,
6.85.
right, and then Blue Cross is just, like I said, it was a 10-1 final rate.
Mhm.
Added the 2% to get us to a 12-1, but Deb said that we'll have the quote release. She'll be releasing it to the 3 agents at 9:30 today. So in about 5 minutes, we'll have the quote. But because of the RFP being sent out, they followed those specs.
Yeah.
And then she said, whoever is the one that you guys choose to go with, and if it is Blue Cross Blue Shield, that box contains those final rates.
Nice.
Okay?
Okay.
So then we'll wait until you guys are done with your other presentations?
Yeah, that would be
Wonderful.
fine.
Okay.
Thank you, Susie.
Great. You're so welcome.
Thank you, Brina.
Yeah, of course.
So they'll be back.
They'll be back.
Summarize everything.
Yeah, well, I'll just keep the books and then read from the books. It's easier to read from that than flip back through all of these. And then we can compare it to what we're paying now. Yep, we're ready for the next one.
Okay, we have Compass Insurance.
They're here also.
What?
That's my one.
Yeah.
They're here also.
Okay, want to present it?
This is Joey Samuelson. He's with Compass Insurance Partners out of our Bloomington office. Joey's our health expert, and he's going to do the presentation.
I'm going to take a different style to the approach to the presentation. I didn't print a whole bunch. I sent one because this is our first time, I guess, doing the benefit side. So I'm one of the owners of Compass. We have offices in Iroquois County, so we would prefer you to do business with us. We pay taxes here, but that's completely your choice. We do work with a lot of different fire districts. We of course work with the county on the commercial. We've been expanding our benefit side. I've been doing this 18 years. My right hand, who's in the proposal, is Melissa. So the one thing the things that I would raise questions to you guys to think about on your benefit programs are a couple things. And I don't know if you're doing these now with Susie. She's a tremendous agent. I'm not going to knock. Loman Ray's a great agency also. They're all good vendors that you're looking at on who you want to represent you. But just realize Blue Cross is coming in with a very strong offer. I know that Health Alliance has your renewal. I represent both. I went to United Healthcare. They declined to quote. I did go to several other sources, Aetna, Cigna, many, they just said they were not going to be able to compete with the Health Alliance renewal. So I think it really comes down to Health Alliance or Blue Cross. I think you're going to like the Blue Cross offer because my understanding, none of the three of us were privy to the numbers. I mean, we guessed, but it's in that packet. So you have to choose who you want to represent you. So my value proposition to you is the things that we can do to help you. First thing is if you stay with Health Alliance, I would encourage you guys to consider looking at the payroll company called Paycor. Okay, Paycor is somebody that Compass Insurance uses for our payroll side. They do all the payroll HR. You do get a 1% to 2% discount off your health insurance premiums with Health Alliance. On those quoted numbers, they will go down 1% to 2%. Didn't know if you knew that, but that's something you can take advantage of. But you have to switch your payroll services to them. They do a phenomenal job. They have a self-portal for all the employees, all the staff. It's wonderful. I can help organize that meeting. Second thing is we would offer you a benefit admin platform called Bernie Portal. So this would be a portal that would offer a shopping cart experience for all of your employees and all their family members at open enrollment time. We would do this every year. So we would go paperless. The goal would be to go paperless for you, your staff, and the family members so they could select benefits that they want to enroll in. And that would be for the medical, that would be for all the ancillary lines, so dental, vision. I did include an identity theft offer. I didn't see you guys have it. That concerns me that you don't have identity theft for all your employees. We offer it to ours. That's all the remediation. They do the monitoring, the dark web stuff. So, and it's with a company called InfoArmor that's owned by Allstate. That would be one offering I would recommend on renewal you consider offering. It's very, very affordable. It can be done on a voluntary basis. Not everybody has to take it. It can be at the employee's choice. If you switch to Blue Cross, so if you stay with Health Alliance, you're going to want to keep some of your services with BPC. So like your Section 125, if you have an FSA, you're going to want to keep that with BPC. But if you switch to Blue Cross, which I think you might be inclined to do, you're going to want to switch to Envision as the third-party administrator. Envision is out of Chicago, but they have an electronic data feed like BPC does to share information in regards to the health reimbursement arrangement or the HRA you guys are doing presently. They will mirror it and they'll do it at a reduced fee, but that's what you're going to want to do. The thing on the benefit admin system that I wanted to point out that Bernie Portal does for you, the county, and all the employees, we will take care of your COBRA administration free of cost. That will be included in the benefit admin system and program that we offer to Iroquois County. I'm not sure if you're paying that to BPC now and you're being charged for it, but that would be included as a part of our value-added proposition. The other part that would be included in a part of our value-added proposition, other than the shopping cart experience for all of your employees, and then you get the waivers and everything taken care of in one platform, and it's paperless, and whoever your HR person's going to be, they'll have full access to that. They won't be able to see the private information, but they'll be able to see the signed waivers that it's been offered, and it's all documented. And we'll do that every year. The 1095C reporting that has to be done for organizations your size, we will take care of that for you at no expense. So there's a portion of the 1095 that gets done by the carrier, but the 1095C is the employer responsibility as far as the reporting goes. And I find that many aren't doing it, and that's something that you have to do, or you could face fines. So we'll take care of that for you with our benefit admin platform. That's pretty much my presentation, and our goal would be to shift you guys to a paperless format. We do all the remarkets for you. I can put it in a nice spreadsheet, but I find that confuses people. At the end of the day, we represent all the companies that you would be wanting to buy insurance from. And I went to all of them, but the challenge is, as agents, if we all go to Blue Cross is putting in a packet, you're gonna see it, and the offer's good with us and the two other vendors. The same is true for all the other vendors. The real difference is, what value are they providing you? Ours is COBRA admin, the benefit admin, and eliminating that in the 1095C, we'll take care of all that. And to me, that's worth the money. If you're not getting it now, that's what we're going to give you at no expense. And it's going to help take care of the compliance side of making sure that benefits have been offered. You've got signed waivers. You've had a true open enrollment if you're offering more than one plan every year. And it just takes care of the documentation piece, which is important for liability reasons. And then by going paperless in a portal, it's secure. And from the cyber people who I echo everything they said, it helps to alleviate some of that concern by having paper forms and stuff laying around with people's social security numbers on it. So hopefully that helps, and I'll open it up for questions.
Thank you.
I have one question.
Yeah.
So you got bids from Health Alliance and from Blue Cross Blue Shield?
So Health Alliance won't give.
Okay.
Like what Low and Ray did, and I could do, I could put it in a spreadsheet and
Yeah.
ballpark what I think the pricing will be.
Mm-hmm.
The renewal pricing that was offered by Health Alliance, whether you go with Low and Ray, Compass Insurance Partners, or you stay with Homestar, that pricing will be the same. The only difference would be if you switched your payroll to Paycor, you could save 1 to 2%. And it might be a little bit, but I'm trying to be safe there because, but there is a significant amount of savings if you switch it.
Okay.
And this is Josh from Blue Cross, so that's good. And then on the Blue Cross side, which I think is going to be the way you guys lean, I still think you're going to want to keep the retirees on a carve out with Health Alliance, which once again doesn't matter whether you're with us, Loman Ray, or you stay with Homestar. That we would want to keep the same.
Okay.
We'd really be talking about the full-time people would go either stay with Health Alliance or would go with Blue Cross.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you again.
Yeah, thank you.
Those are the three we have. For you do want?
Yeah.
So you mentioned, yeah.
No,
it was,
no, that's all.
Yeah.
No, this is part of it.
Yeah, no. Those are the now the other certified, vote on that.
Are you talking about this?
This is still health.
And what?
This is still
another
health.
health bid. This is the last health bid.
Cross Blue Shield.
And he is here.
And he's here to present.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Joe.
You want to speak for Blue Cross Blue Shield?
Is there anyone that wants to speak for Blue Cross Blue Shield?
I can say something.
All right, thank you.
I'm from Bloomington, Illinois. My name's Josh Garrett. I'm actually here, these are sealed bids, so nobody's actually seen any of these bids. We're just here to answer any questions that you guys have, if you guys have any questions. The producers that are supported are on the front page of that cover, and then the competing bid is obviously in that book there for you guys. So, network-wise, I think you guys are in pretty good shape. Riverside is in network. There's Blue PPO is a very large network. It's got about 98% of all doctors and hospitals in the state of Illinois. And there's a number of different plan options in there. So there's HSA options, there's some PPO options. I think you guys are currently using what's called an HRA to fund down to a $500 deductible. So you could additionally use another HRA vendor if you wanted to do that and continue to do that. But I think you'll find that the bid is competitive in looking at the comparison plans in there. So, any questions?
So just to clarify here on page 10, the Blue Cross PPO networks with the Select HSA.
Do you mind if I come over there?
No, absolutely.
I
Come
can
on
help
over.
you out. I have to go over your shoulder.
No, that's fine. So we're looking at employee only, $473.63 a month.
Yep. So that is
Okay.
with that's with a Blue Choice PPO network.
Mhm.
So if you keep going in there,
Mhm.
there's also the Blueprint PPO, and those Blueprint PPOs are going to be with the co-pays,
Mhm.
the prescription drug cards, and everything.
Okay.
Okay, and so these Blue PPOs, if you look, like for instance, at a $500 deductible here,
Mhm.
you can kind of use that as a
As a
comparison.
comparison. Okay.
And then when you guys are doing your analysis,
Mhm.
what you'll want to do is you want to look at that HRA money, and what you guys are spending on that HRA money to fund that back down to that $500 deductible. That wasn't in the RFP proposal.
Right.
So you'll want to do a full analysis of that.
Okay. Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. So what would be comparable with Blue Cross Blue Shield is showing employee only $577.88. Employee spouse would be $1,216.72. Employee child would be $1,242.16. Employee family would be $1,880.99.
I do have one more thing to add to that I don't know if it was clear in that. There is a one-time credit that will be built into there called a transition fee. That will be applied to your billing, so if you guys do choose to go to Blue Cross to help kind of transition, because it costs money to transition to a new plan,
Right.
that'll be included in there as well.
Okay.
And a question for Blue Cross, just so you know, you guys will honor deductibles and out-of-pocket maximums for, if they do change for the insured members, is that right?
Yeah, and so there's additional kind of features with Blue Cross. It has what's called fourth quarter rollover credit too. So I think this is a 12 one if I'm not mistaken. So anyone that used any of that deductible out of pocket in that December month would then kind of roll over to that next year. So there's kind of extra benefit built into that contract.
Yes, Eric?
When you talk about the 12/1, is the plan itself gonna be considered a 1/1 start date, or is it gonna be a fiscal 12/1?
I believe the offer is for a 12/1, the deductibles, let me pull it up here. The deductibles will all start over on January 1, essentially, so it goes from January through December.
Okay, so any dollar amounts accumulated in the final quarter or just in 12/1 will?
So since it's a 12/1, I believe it's a 12/1 effective date, since it's a 12/1 effective date, just anything accumulated in that December month will roll to that first quarter.
So will that be the same thing come the following year?
Yeah, it is actually built into the contract permanently, so. yeah.
This is the one we currently have.
It's similar, it's this, because this is Blue Cross Blue Shield, it's similar to Healthline's plan that we have right now. This is the one that would be comparable.
Piece of this is what we currently have. I'm gonna come back to this. While you put everything, summarize everything.
I don't know what
you
do you suggest? We need to,
We can put something together, and if you would like to, make a motion to vote on it for next month, I think that would be okay.
This is what the current plan is.
That would be October. No,
And that's what
there's
this
no
is then?
preparation. So if I would make a recommendation that somebody make a motion for me to, for us to work together, put something together, for you to make your final decision and vote on
First numbers.
the next meeting, on the October meeting. That would be my suggestion. You guys would-
can you make a motion, Joe?
I thought you asked me. Sure, I'll make the motion.
Okay, I think I'd like to make a motion to go back to this next month after we can take a better look at it.
Analyze what we have in front of us and compare the three options, okay? And report it next month, the findings, and hope for a decision at that time.
We will have to make a decision at that time.
Okay.
I'd second that motion.
Any other discussion about it? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Okay, so with the health insurance bids, we're gonna take some time. I'm gonna put together a comparison sheet for the board members for the committee members to review. They will make their final decision at our October meeting, which is, I can't remember the date.
Second Tuesday in October.
It is the second Tuesday in October. The date eludes me right now, but thank you. And then we'll have a final decision then, and Amanda will be in contact with everybody. All right.
got more room.
You can set over here. So we don't need anything over here. You can do that. After you, Steve.
We're now opening the first bid on property and casualty insurance. Schultz Insurance Agency. Iron.
So Bliss will go first.
We only have one.
You want to look at it?
When you're done, China, come up after you're done. So we do only have one.
Yeah.
So, we're presenting the Bliss renewal, is where we're at with this one in proposal form. So, with Compass, as Joey said, we have 2 offices in Iroquois County with 11 employees. They all live in Iroquois County and we don't pay taxes in Iroquois County. I myself have been in local government for 25 years in Papineau, so I understand a lot of the way the board works. Our renewal is with Bliss. They've done a great job with claims. For those of you who have not met Tim, Tim has provided training and policies and procedures. He's been going through the manual of your employee handbook. He's getting everybody up to speed with the Transparency Act training. And he's been very beneficial to the county. We've had some claims. Over the term since the last bid, we've had considerable amount of claims. Last year, we had a fair amount of claims. I feel as an agency and with Bliss that the claims have been handled exceptional. I haven't heard any complaints from the board on any claims being paid or claims being made or any of the process of it. Bliss has always been a good asset and a good partner with us here and as well as the county. So you have the proposal in front of you. I'm going to ask Tim and Frank. This is Tim Dury and Frank from Bliss McKnight. They'll have any answers for the questions you might have on your renewal. The one thing that I'll point out on the renewal is that you're pretty well flat to last year's numbers, which is a good thing because of the amount of claims that you had. Your property had some claims on it, so obviously that number went up. But you guys have been doing a really good job with the work comp. So you see that the work comp went down 16%. And the property went up 15, so it's kind of a wash across the board. So all in all, they're coming in with a pretty good renewal, and I'll let the Bliss people speak to the rest of it.
Well, first of all, thank you for letting us come in. We appreciate it very much. My name is Frank Benson. I'm the Vice President of Sales at Bliss McKnight. We've had your county for forever. almost forever. And we've enjoyed, what we enjoy working with the folks here in Iroquois County, and we would really like to keep the business. At this time, I'm gonna let Tim tell you a little bit about some of the things that he has done and some of the things that he proposes going forward to help you guys continue to get better. Because we all need to do that, right?
And things keep changing all the time too. So you guys are gonna look at numbers. It's probably gonna be confusing like the health insurance was. And one of the things I think we as company folks think is that the differences come in the services that you get. Like as Myron said, how your claims were handled, were you happy with those? And also from the liability side, what services do we offer to keep you out of trouble, so to speak? So what I gave out is kind of a brief review of some of the things that we've done. On the employment practices side, thanks to a very active Illinois legislature, there's been a lot of changes in things that the county had to comply with. So we've helped the county with changing laws surrounding sexual harassment, new policies, ordinances. We reviewed the county's policies pertaining to Illinois sexual harassment. We do ongoing training every month at the Policy and Procedure Committee. We talk about the number of folks that have received the training. You guys are a great county to work with because you actually really do care and you don't wait until December. And I appreciate that.
Tim likes that a lot.
Yeah. We're currently working on revising the entire county employment handbook. And we're going to continue to keep you up to date. We also have, I checked, you guys are listed as being on our website where people should be getting every week an email keep saying, here's what's going on in the employment industry. And from the employment practice side of it. So I've never heard any, geez, we hate that thing, but that's a really good, helpful thing as well. On the law enforcement side, I want to take an opportunity to thank the sheriff for doing a great job before he retires. We've insured the county for, I've been with Bliss for 28 years. I actually don't know if you guys were with us longer than 28, but it's as long as that. So thank you. Recently, again, the Illinois legislature passed a comprehensive reform bill requiring law enforcement. It's going to be probably a reason that you're retiring. I don't know. There's going to be comprehensive changes now between now and 2025. Right now, some of the things that we've done to help comply with the Safety Act and the trailer bill is use of force policy, taser policy, tear gas, impact weapons, the new duty to intervene, the duty to render aid, and we're going to keep monitoring that and giving our counties, you guys, those policies that you need to stay up to date. Because between now and 2025, we've got a lot that we're going to keep doing. Jail risk management is a real issue. You guys have 2 jail deaths. We're going to be monitoring those investigations to see if there's any opportunities for training or policy revisions. Those are going to be interesting claims. They tend to be costly and cause a lot of community involvement. One of the things I think that we've talked about with Myron is doing some building cost estimators, value estimators on your buildings, just to make sure you guys are comfortable with where you're at. From a property standpoint, and I'm not a property insurance expert, but from a property standpoint, we feel you're all really good because you have blanket insurance, which would cover everything, so you don't have to worry about co-insurance penalties. If a building should be $6 million, but it's rated at $5 million, you still get the $6 million if the hurricane comes through, tornado. There's, as Myron mentioned, there's been over the past couple of years, your premiums and work comp have come down again through a lot of hard work of the sheriff, the highway department, a lot of folks, because there was a time in here where that was not, it was hard going. So work comp, we say often, you make your own premiums, but congratulations on that. We're looking at some really good reductions there. Property losses on the property side, there have been, over $120,000 of losses recently. I think those were handled well and effective, and the county seems to be happy. I will say that there is an option, and I'm sure you guys will probably want to review this, but there's an option to change your levels of coverage from 5 million per occurrence, 5 million aggregate, to 5 million per occurrence to 10 million aggregate. And the difference to go from the 5.5 to the 5.10 is $394. So kind of an old adage in insurance is don't risk too much for too little. I don't know if $394 seems like a bargain. You have any questions? I see you guys a lot. I'm usually here and I'm talking about sex. So it's fun to be talking about something else.
Yeah, you guys, everybody knows that the sexual harassment, or excuse me, I'm going to say sexual harassment training, it's the sexual harassment
Prevention.
prevention training has been mandated in the state of Illinois, and it's an annual thing. So it doesn't matter if you had it last year, you've got to have it again this year. Tim's able to do that either in person, or he's put together a really nice online scenario for that as well. We can do it either way, whatever works best for the county, and it's all the county employees as well. Once again, I reiterate, we've had you with the county for a really long time. We enjoy working with the county, and we'd like to keep it.
I think the arrangement with our local agent, can't say enough about Compass. You know, when it was Randy Schultz, Roger Schultz, and Compass, it's a great duo. So I hope you guys continue to appreciate what we can do for you, and we appreciate your business and love working with you.
Great.
Any questions on that?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Roger Schultz and Kathy.
Can I see it from the side? No, you had two. You had one for Bliss and one for, okay, so, okay, that's what this is.
Okay. So this is Todd with ICRMT. I'd like to thank the board for giving us the opportunity to present ICRMT. I know they came in with another vendor out of the gate. We were able to work with the county. We've had a long-standing relationship with ICRMT. As I said before, we're an independent agency, so we have opportunities to work with other companies. So while we work with Bliss McKnight and other companies, Travelers and such, ICRMT is also a good opportunity for the county to look at. And I'll let Todd tell you a little bit about ICRMT and this presentation here.
All right, I'll let Myron get this passed out. So my name is Todd Greer. I have worked on ICRMT since 1996. So I'm starting my 26th year of representing ICRMT. When I started, I think we insured somewhere around 27, 28 counties, and we did about $2 million in premium. I believe at that time we did Iroquois County's workers' compensation back then. As of today, we insure roughly 425 public entities throughout Illinois. We do 94 million in premium, and we insure 58 of the 102 counties in Illinois. And we also provide claims and risk management services to 3 others that are kind of too big for ICRMT, Lake County, Will County, and McHenry County. So we're working with 61 of the 102 counties. So 60% of the counties in the state are people that we work with. I see you kind of flipping that open to some of the features. So everything is important when it comes to premium, but I think a lot of what ICRMT sets us apart is the services we provide, where the premium almost becomes secondary in the coverages. The hot button right now has a lot to do with law enforcement because of some of the changes in laws that have passed in Illinois. So I think that would be the thing I would lead with, would be on the law enforcement services that we can bring in and offer to your sheriff and to your jail. We use a firm called the Legal Liability Risk Management Institute out of Indianapolis. They work on a countrywide basis. ICRMT was the first organization in Illinois to have new written policies and procedures after the Safety Act passed the legislature, and we passed them out to all of our members by the beginning of May. The associated training to go with those new procedures to comply with the new wish list of things coming out of Springfield, we're ready by June. So it's really important that we keep all of our officers trained and up to speed. It's important for the county and the cities we insure because it's their liability, but it's really important to those people individually, because now they can get charged criminally with things that they've done for years, which is really unfortunate, because so much that happens in law enforcement is a split-second decision. We spend a lot of money providing the training for that. When we talk about the jail, we can come in and do a review on the jail and help with policies and procedures and also the training. We will also do grants at times for specific things that are going to improve the safety. One of the things we've done a lot in the jails have been cameras. We will do a 50-50 cost sharing up to $10,000. So if it requires putting in some new cameras in the jail. What we've spent a lot of money on here recently are body cams for the road deputies. You know, Iroquois County is not going to be required to provide those for a couple of years, but it's coming, right? So every police officer in Illinois is going to have on a body cam by 2025. You're also going to have the infrastructure that all of that then uploads every time that they walk in the door, and you're going to have to maintain that. Those are a lot of the focuses of what our service team works on. We also have a whole suite of training for your supervisors, your management staff, for your new employees. If you're hiring somebody new and you want them to go through sexual harassment training, we've got a module. We set the designated person up at the county. They assign these new employees to go through whatever modules you need for training. We've got the driver safety training if you want to do that. We've also got training for supervisors of how to work with the more difficult employees. Another great feature that we have with ICRT is our open door legal. The law firm general counsel for ICRT is a firm called O'Halloran, Kossoff, Geithner & Cook. They've been working with ICRT since about 1988. So they have the longest tenure of anybody still involved in the program. If you have an issue confronting the board, you can call them, and we pay for it because we view that as part of our risk management. Now, most of that is going to center around employment practices or maybe a board action. I'll give you an example of a hot button here that's been in the last year, right? Okay, about wearing masks or shutting down, okay? They answered hundreds of questions from people calling in saying, hey, we've got a church that won't shut down. What's our legal obligation to go out there? Or if we shut them down, we have people file suit and say, hey, you shouldn't be shutting down this church. So, we were the resource for most of our members to go to and ask, here's what's going on, what do we do? We do provide coverage for COVID-related liability in the first $1 million. Okay, it's excluded from the excess liability. But for the first $1 million, there is coverage if you get sued. Having a health department, that could be somewhat critical, right? Because you're getting people coming into the health department possibly to get COVID shots. If they say, hey, I caught COVID, or my mom did, and she died, and it's because you guys didn't keep your health department sanitary. You didn't meet the standards, okay? Now that's a really tall hill for somebody to win that battle, but we're gonna defend you against those kind of suits. There are a lot of programs out there, and I certainly don't know what Bliss McKnight's position is. They've been a long-time county insurer as well. I would imagine they'd do the same thing. But we're definitely gonna defend you in those types of suits that come about. We also have field staff. So we have 6 field staff. So someone would be assigned to work with you. The gentleman that would most likely be assigned is a former fire chief in the town I live in, Elmhurst. But he spent 35 years in municipal government. So, he knows the fire side, but he also knows what it's like for the budgeting process and trying to deal with everybody. So he's not only a great resource when it comes to safety, he's a great resource of, gee, have you ever had this problem or encountered this before? And almost always he has. So that's what I always lead with is the resources that we have available. I don't believe that there's anybody else in the state that would have the resources available to public entities in general and to counties specifically for all of the items that you do. I sat and I listened to the first group of guys talk about the cyber, right? It's a hot button, and you know, we are working on the cyber stuff as well. I didn't quote cyber liability here because I didn't see it in the bid specs, but it's definitely something we can ask. And we're also in the process of ICRMT is looking to hire a consulting firm that we can provide to our members. It sounds like you guys are ahead of the curve where you're doing it, and I think everybody needs their own. But what we're trying to do is be able to tell people, hey, here's a baseline of what you need. Here's why. Counties especially have a lot of records, and they're not all online. Anybody can go to the courthouse and pick up some of the old, you know, history books of, you know, when birth records and Social Security and all that stuff. So the security goes beyond computers, and you know, we can work with people on that as well. One of the other things we do when it comes to like property and security, we'll come out and we'll do site surveys. So we'll tell you, hey, this building, you know, you need to do this or that to keep it safe. Update the fire alarm, but we also do appraisals, and we pay for the appraisals to make sure your buildings are all adequately valued. So we want to make sure that in the event of a loss, that you're not going to come up short. So that's why we do the appraisals. You know, let me run through a couple things real quickly for you here. There's going to be a page that talks about property. This gentleman right here to my right, you're on the right page. You know, so there's a lot of extensions that go with the property, and you don't have to schedule everything with ICRMT. We're going to pick up a lot of things that things could happen that we don't expect you to schedule all of that. Fences, signs, if you have a monument in front of the courthouse, different items like that where we just provide the blanket coverage, and if something happens to those items, we're going to pick up and cover those various items. But when we do the appraisal, we're usually going to identify all of that. We'll say, hey, here's all this stuff you have. You can either schedule it or it can be subject to the blanket limit, and then we work with your broker to decide what's the most cost-effective way to schedule all that property to make sure you're not, you know, coming up short anywhere. One other thing where we're designed for counties is the who is an insured. So you guys have a health department. I'm assuming you have a medical director at your health department who's a doctor who sets standing orders, okay? We specifically provide coverage for that medical director for his job of setting standing orders. Because a lot of times a doctor is going to be excluded from liability, so that if he got named in a suit for the standing orders, he wouldn't have any coverage personally. The county would, but the doctor would not. We specifically cover that doctor for setting the standing orders. Now, if he walks to the other side of the table and starts treating, he's got to go back against his malpractice insurance. But what the orders that he's outlining for your staff to follow, you know, that's going to be covered. We're also going to cover volunteers. So again, kind of in this COVID era, I would imagine that maybe you've had volunteers at your health department who've come in to give shots or inoculations or to deliver food to somebody who was shut in. Under our program, those people are automatically insured for both liability and workers' compensation. Because the last thing you want to happen is you get somebody who's volunteering their time and they get hurt and you say, gee, you're on your own, right? ICRMT is going to cover those people for workers' compensation if they get injured. And if they do, you know, they damage somebody's property somehow, the general liability from the county would respond to that, whatever is done by that volunteer. Also, for you folks on the board, it's probably pretty likely you get appointed to sit on other boards, maybe with the city or maybe a water district or something like that. Your coverage from the county is going to extend and cover you because the county has said, hey, we want you to sit on this joint task force that's being created with the city of Watseka, or maybe it's a joint task force with Kankakee County or someone else, you know. So it's not really a county duty, but you've been asked as your role to sit on there. So we're gonna pick up and cover you if a suit gets filed against that board as well. And the final thing that is a little bit unique for counties is we cover the state's attorney as your legal advisor, okay? State's attorney is not an employee of the county, he's a state employee, hence the name, right? But he's also the chief legal counsel of the county. So we're not covering the state's attorney when he's prosecuting criminal cases in court, but we are covering the state's attorney when he acts as your counsel and says, board, here's what I think you need to do, and you end up getting sued as a board because he gave you bad legal advice. So we're wrapping him in as well to pick that coverage up for him. We will also defend the state's attorney when they get named because they've charged someone that's been in your jail. So, you know, let's say the Watsika police pick somebody up, they drop somebody off in your jail, okay, and then the state's attorney charges them. That person's going to sue everybody, okay? So we're also going to defend the state's attorney because he made the charge against that person that caused them to be detained in your jail. So, and all of this comes about just because we've seen so many cases and you go, well, gee, we didn't cover the state's attorney before, but it's like, well, why would we not cover the state's attorney? We're all kind of on the same team here. You know, we want to make sure we're doing right by all the people that are working on behalf of the county. From a coverage standpoint, I don't like to go through line by line on the coverage because I think you would find our coverage is probably going to be superior to pretty much any program out there that insures counties. You know, insurance isn't apples to apples, right? So there's going to always be something a little different. So I'm not going to say somebody may not have a higher sublimit than we do. But this whole program was designed to insure public entities and counties specifically. So within the wording of the insurance contract itself, it's written to try and pick up exposures that a regular commercial policy may not pick up. So if you have, you know, somebody else who's quoting you general liability, it's probably not the same general liability that we're going to be quoting you here. So any specific questions of all my rambling?
Todd, can you tell the county about the UCCI relation you had?
Yeah, so Iroquois County is a member of the United Counties Council of Illinois. So that is our sponsoring organization. So if you go to the Sangamo Club in Springfield once a month to go to the UCCI meeting, you'll often see us lurking in the back of the room because our ICRT board meeting commences as soon as the UCCI starts lunch. If you're part of ICRT, you no longer pay UCCI dues. It's just those dues are waived because we do sponsor UCCI does sponsor us, and they do get an override from the program, which is where most of the money comes from to sponsor UCCI services, including the things you get from Herman Bodavies and Jason Brokaw, some of that legal service from those guys. Legal is something I'd touch on. So our primary firm is O'Halloran, Kossoff, Geithner and Cook. We're really tight on our legal representation just because we've made exceptions and we've tended to get burned. We do have other firms that we work with in the area, and we're always trying to find the best mix to represent the counties. For a county, we're going to work closely with your state's attorney if they want to be involved. Some want to be actively involved in litigation. Some say that, gee, that's civil, we don't really want to be involved. And then we just kind of take it and run from there. But, you know, we're very comfortable with however they want to manage that litigation. And, you know, price-wise, I'm sure I'll leave that to you, what our price was. You know, there's different options we can look at, you know, higher limit of liability. But as I say, we are seldom the cheapest, but I think the value that comes with everything we deliver probably makes us the best value for our clients that we represent.
I think you'll find the price is pretty competitive with where we're at now.
No further questions? Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and I enjoyed my drive down here today. My GPS took me out through the country, so being an old farm boy, I got to check on the corn and everything, so it was rather nice. So, thank you.
Okay. What's next? That's it?
You wanna make a
Are we
summary
going to
motion?
make a decision today, or are we going to?
Do the same thing.
Well, basically,
Yeah.
we only had one broker, which was Compass
Yeah.
with Myra Munyon, but he's presenting two different insurance options. So if you would like to do the same thing you did with health, and we could put something together. But overall, broker-wise, Myron's our only bid. So.
So we'll defer till next month. Come up with an Joe. Okay, motion is made to defer the decision to next month. We'll put out Steve is seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign, motion carried. Thank you very much. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we go ahead now with the department head reports? Who's first up? Sheriff, you read number one.
Good morning, all. Brief little handout here to give you an update on contract negotiations with Yeoman.
We've got it on the agenda.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
All right.
It's a little bit.
A little bit down. All right, well then hold on to that. Let me think what's going on right now. I've got one correctional officer that's got to do 2 more weeks of training. They have a 5-week academy. He got 3 weeks of training done, and then the academy started having some COVID exposures, so they've delayed it. So he goes the last week of August. He goes back the last week of August and the first week of November, and then at that time, all the correctional officers will be certified. We've got one new squad car up and running. The other one, we ordered 2 new ones, and because of whatever the industry wants to say, microchip shortage or the inventory not being put together quick enough due to COVID-related things, we ordered them over a year. Well, we ordered them right about a year ago, and one's in, the other one's supposed to be in. So what I would ask is, if, once you take issue with the budget, I know we're fairly close to having a balanced budget. What I would like to do is, once you get to that point, even before approval, I'd like to put the order in for the new cars, because right now it looks like it's gonna take more than half a year in order to get them in. And obviously the longer we wait to order, the longer or farther down on the list we get put for those vehicles. So that's just something that if there's not gonna be drastic changes, if the approval for the 4 squad cars goes through, I would like to be able to contact our dealer that we do the state bid through and get those on the list to get made so that they're here by next summer maybe. Other than that, are there any questions?
What's the car cost? Approximately.
Well, right now we're going with Tahoe SUVs. Let me go back a minute. Squad cars in and of themselves are kind of a thing of the past. GM's not making the cars anymore. Ford really isn't either. Dodge still makes a four-door sedan police package, but most manufacturers are going to either a pickup or a SUV style police package. So right now with GM, the bid for the 2021 Tahoes that I got, the bid was I think around 38 or 39,000.
That's complete with every.
Well, that doesn't have all the equipment, but what it does, the police package does several things. The rotors and brakes are different than what's on a civilian package. The radiator's bigger, alternator's bigger. They'll have like the larger transmission cooler on it, the larger engine oil cooler on it, so because they're built to idle. So suspension will be a little bit different as well as what you get on the private market. So yeah, they build them to kind of take a beating and also to idle, because that's what they do a lot of times. And at 38 or 39,000, you know, most people go out to buy a basic 21 Tahoe, you're going to spend probably 50, and if you get all the bells and whistles, it's going to be over 70. So, yeah, the trucks are a little bit cheaper than that. The trucks, we've got 3 trucks on the road that are 2020s, and I think those were around 36,000. But again, same thing, different radiators, different alternators, different brakes and rotors and suspension and stuff like that on.
You put those dividers in after you receive delivery?
The lights, the radios, and the cages all go in after the fact.
Who does that?
We buy the equipment through Ray O'Hare and Company, Police Supply out of Danville, and the installer is a gentleman by the name of Brian Williams, who he does like Kankakee City, Kankakee County, Kankakee, or Bradley. Basically, that's all he does is install stuff into emergency vehicles. So does a very good job. I have not had any complaints about the installs that he's done for us, but yeah, he puts them together for us. Okay, thank you.
Brianne, you're up next.
Sure. So later on your agenda, you have discussion and action on ARPA funds or something to that effect. Jill's having a hard time finding the lack of revenue, so that means election devices probably would not be able to be purchased with ARPA funds. So this is my plea again to look for money, because I am definitely going to need to buy them within the next, I would like to have them purchased in the 2023 budget. And I was really banking on having a lack of revenue, but once again, we are not having one, so ARPA funds probably will not be able to be used for the voting devices. Another just quick update as far as election grants, they are going to be awarded in the coming weeks. There's definitely going to be one for like cybersecurity and all of our IT issues. So the .gov website, the .gov email addresses that we're going to have to utilize, they will be able to be paid for through that grant. I'm not quite sure how much it's going to be. They say it's going to be close to what it was last year, so around 16,000. So hopefully that will be enough to pay for all of that. Otherwise,
Thank you. Eric, do you have anything?
Let's see here. Last night the ETSP met. Mr. McTaggart joined us in that conversation. Lasted us quite a while, but I think Mr. McTaggart got quite the education out of the deal as well, which I think he was very, very happy about that, and so was the ETSP. Specifically, he came because of our discussion about the CAD or computer-aided dispatch system. He's been asking a lot of questions, as we all understand, specifically about why we're upgrading it. We came to the conclusion, one of my board members reminded me of another conversation that we had The cost of the actual system itself, if we just continue paying maintenance on it today, it really turns into, we're gonna pay about $10,000 less after a 10-year if we were to able to push this system for another 10 years. So it's gonna be about $10,000 less if we continue to pay the maintenance versus buy a new system and continue to pay the maintenance with the new system. So that's one of many, many reasons why the ETSP is considering it. Unfortunately, we have kind of a breaking point right at the moment. There is the possibility that ETSP may have to purchase a new phone system. So we may have to pursue a different direction, but more on that next month when I get some more answers. This is a brand new conversation that I had with the 911 statewide administrator, Cindy Bergerelli. She's got some questions out for another department that she's waiting on some answers for, and she's gonna get back with us. So this is gonna play into a conversation, so it also brings in some other challenges that we've had because this phone system has already gotten grant money back to the tune of around $150,000. So there's a lot more questions than we do have answers with this one. So if this system wasn't able to go into the next gen system that there's planning here soon, ETSP number one may have to look at a new phone system, which is going to pump the brakes on a lot of our other capital improvement budget plans. So more to come next month. Questions?
Those contracted prices over that 10-year period for the CAD system, are those guaranteed rates?
They were guaranteed pretty much when we were going through the RFP proposal process. Now that we've selected vendors, or selected no vendor, when we go back through that process, that's when we're really gonna know some more. The ETSB's got some more conversations on that later on too, because we kind of already appeared to be committed to Central Square at the end of the last one, but allowing for the finance committee to figure out what's gonna happen for funding for the jail software. We selected no vendor. So we could still consider at least Central Square, but if we decide to go through the whole bid process, we're gonna have to get more vendors in to see if they're interested in, and then we have more updated numbers as to what those fees will be.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
See, anybody else? John, do you have any comments? Nope. If not, we might as well move on to American Rescue Plan Act.
Okay, so the American Rescue Plan Act, or ARPA, as they're calling it, I currently discuss this in policy and procedure. No, we got one policy and procedure. But basically, it was signed into law on March 11th, 2021, and what it did was allocated $350 billion for states and local recovery efforts. And Iroquois County was allotted approximately $5.6 million, which we've already received half of that, and it is currently sitting in our grants fund. We will get the second tract of that payment as they decided to do two separate allocations. The intent is for counties or municipalities or whoever qualified to use funds to help different entities and individuals as long as they follow the ARPA guidelines and rules in location and need and impact within the counties. So I kind of put together a little bit of a pamphlet here, as my suggestion is we need to have a subcommittee directly geared towards the use and the allocation of these ARPA funds, because basically with the Iroquois County residents relying on the services that we provide and some of the businesses and individuals that are in the county, they do need some sort of help with either housing, rent. Local businesses may see a reduction in revenue, and to keep those businesses and people in Iroquois County, this is what these funds are dedicated to. So, with that in mind, I did a lot of research on other counties and some of the things that they're doing. And with this subcommittee, we need to come up with some sort of policies and procedures, which I provided examples. Policies being such as ARPA funds are utilized, special internal and other grant funds will be exhausted first, and to identify and support communities that are unable or ineligible to participate in any of the CURES or CARES or PPP programs. Grantees that demonstrate access to continuing operations post ARPA funding, meaning that they can run on their own after these funds are no longer available without the county's help. And then any grantees programs that represent similar geography or services, they would be encouraged to work together and to coordinate so that those funds aren't necessarily given out to multiple agencies or persons that have the same goal in mind. Any priority will be given to locally owned businesses and to employees and students within the county. Solicit public involvement, that is a huge part of these ARPA funds that they're pushing, is that we include any sort of public meetings. It's requested that we hold at least 2 to 3 of those. My suggestion is that when this subcommittee is formed, that we put out applications or press release to invite 1 or 2 public representatives for the committee. And then also going forward, Iroquois County that supports any of the submitted applications, infrastructure improvements and grant opportunities that will directly affect, or that directly affects the pandemic on Iroquois County. Support would be designed to reduce any future burdens on the taxpayers and to also address the infrastructure needs. These are just 7 policies I kind of put together based off of research. They can be modified, discussed, and they should be in a subcommittee. As far as the procedure goes, put together a little flow chart here where the subcommittee is assigned, and then they would set meeting dates and some information to go ahead and send out a press release to have an internal and external input meeting. Internal, external meaning, any departments or whatnot within the county can attend these meetings and put in an application for review, because we really need a paper trail, and as well as any of the external public local businesses or individuals that want to put in an application for projects or their needs for these funds. After that is done, the ARPA committee needs to review the policies and their process in which they need to finalize what it actually is going to be and vote on it. And then these policies and procedures will be sent to the county board for approval. Following that, I would suggest having another meeting with any internal or external applicants or interests, to where that the ARPA subcommittee can review those applications, and then they can populate and rank those applications to send to finance for review and final processing. Those applications and the financial process would then go to the county board for approval, to which I would suggest having a third internal and external meeting to just kind of go over what applications are being considered and what any internal or external applications can do to maybe push or further theirs along. And then after that, it would be the Iroquois County Board for final approval to release the funds. Whereas going forward, the ARPA subcommittee would review the processes continually. The finance committee would execute any of the processes, and the Iroquois County Board would then monitor. I included on page 3 just a little bit of unallowed uses of funds and limitations. There is an interim final rule. It is about 70 pages long. I have read through it many, many times. But to kind of shorten that up a little bit, there's a short explanation on page 3. And then on page 4, this comes directly from the U.S. Department of Treasury, where there's examples of funds, anything to support public health response, address negative economic impacts, any premium pay for essential workers, replacing public sector revenue loss, water and sewer infrastructures, broadband infrastructures, and, any equity-focused services. So, Brian mentioned earlier, you know, we get audited, and going off of our audited financials, I'm still continuing to work on kind of putting this information together for you, but we're not showing a revenue reduction. So we're going to be very limited as a county to the use of these funds. However, what some of the other counties in the state of Illinois are doing that also show a revenue increase and not a reduction, they're putting together these applications for any local businesses to continue the numbers of businesses and individuals that reside in the county. We don't want to lose them, basically, is what that comes down to. And then on page 5, I listed guidance and reporting requirements. Basically, the interim report was due August 31st. It was submitted. It was very easy. We haven't allocated any of these funds out yet. And then just kind of gives you a little breakdown of what the project and expenditure reports, what they would incur. So any projects or expenditures, subawards that we do with any local businesses or municipalities or local individuals, any sort of program data that is required. And then I went ahead on page 6 and made up a mock application that we could use, and there has to be separate applications for any funding requested under $50,000 versus funding over $50,000, because there's different reporting requirements that we're going to have to do for any funding that we allocate or award over $50,000. So general information, it's basically a 3-page application, and I included directly from the U.S. Department of Treasury the exact, some of the exact examples that they give for those allowable uses. And then, let's see here, page 10 is the over 50,000. There's just some additive language in there as far as the reporting requirements are concerned. And then lastly, on page 15, I added some additional resources. And these are current communications as far as the time I put this short pamphlet together for everyone. So my recommendation is that we need a subcommittee going forward to handle and decide on how we're going to utilize these ARPA funds.
Is there a time span on it?
There is, and I have that listed for you on page 5. So what would happen is the one-time initial review of status and uses of the funds are going to be through July 2021. The project reports are going to be due October 31st of 2021 and then quarterly thereafter. And these are programs going forward until 2025.
Okay, so we have to come up with something before October 31st?
Well, we can.
Yeah. Okay.
I just have to report. If we don't, then it's an easier report for me because I
Next
put 0.
quarter.
Yeah. But then the following quarter after that, anything that has been decided, I would go ahead and report. Mm-hmm.
But we have until 2025 to spend the money.
Right. Mm-hmm. And if we don't spend it, it goes back.
Hate to see that.
Like I said, the county it's going to be difficult to try to find under the allowable uses things that we can utilize for the county, but it is a great idea to set up something as far as helping those municipalities who are unable or ineligible, or any businesses or individual needs that may occur in the county due to the COVID pandemic.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
John, do you have any comment about
Well, I agree with Joe that we need to have a subcommittee formed. I think my thoughts are probably a 5-person subcommittee. And I hope that I can make that announcement next Tuesday as to who those people will be, and so we can get moving.
Okay.
If that's satisfactory to the committee, that's what we'll do.
Is that all then? We move forward, something else? Anything else on it?
Not right now.
Okay. Oh, we'll get back to the sheriff again on the next item.
The contract. I've met recently, going back to August 11th, and then on September 1st with Gilman, the mayor, and an alderman from Gilman. The September 1st meeting, Chairman Schur and Clint Verzee was also present at that. My overall feeling on it is that it should go. Gilman wants it. It's going to be good for the county. There's some talk about a few side items. Well, one side item in particular, which is ICOM dispatch, joint dispatch fees. Gilman wants the county to not bill them for that. And what I can say about it is this: right now, there's not going to be really any added dispatch fees if they have a contract car, because we're covering Gilman right now. So if there's a 911 call, or if there's a call that comes into the 911 center from someone in Gilman that wants a deputy, we're dispatching deputies there right now. So just by having a deputy assigned there doesn't necessarily mean that the dispatching is going to get more burdensome. Possibly a few more traffic stops, but other than that, any 911 call, any calls that come in to the center, regardless if we have a contract car or not, we're dispatching somebody there. So these numbers here are what I sat down with the Chairman Schur and Jill prior to the September 1 meeting, and we kind of clarified some. So what you'll see is, on the numbers on the left are numbers that I put together at my August 11th meeting, just to give them a heads up on what the cost and salaries and benefits and the initial equipment, uniforms, vehicle, insurance, fuel, maintenance, all that kind of stuff, what it would cost. And then after meeting with Jill and the chairman, the ones in parentheses next to it on the right side are what the costs came to. So they're in the ballpark figure, but roughly, as you see this, it would be 40 hours of coverage in Gilman, 52 weeks a year. So the deputies work 10-hour shifts, so there would be a deputy assigned to Gilman for 4 10-hour shifts every week. One of the things that the mayor has said that he is fine with is, if there's emergency situation somewhere around Gilman, Danforth, Ashcombe, Buckley, wherever, in Arga, that he's not opposed to the Gilman contract car heading out to help handle that. Any other calls around the Gilman area, he's not opposed to that car handling those calls as well. So that's where we kind of broke it down to where, instead of Gilman paying 100% cost of it, since the county would be getting some benefit from it, for that officer being able, or that deputy being able to go out and cover outside of Gilman, 15% was what the county cost was. So that being said, the total cost there on the bottom right hand, the county would roughly be $12,493 a year, and Gilman would pick up the almost $71,000 a year. The mayor's indicated that he's got the votes for it and that he thinks it would pass. So what would happen is this: if the board so chooses to go this route as well, what happens next? The state's attorney and the village attorney for Gilman get language together in the contract, and we have sample contracts from Champaign County and from Ford County. That they would get the legal language all put in. It would come to the full county board for approval. It would go to the full village board for approval. And if both approve it, then we've got a contract. On a side note, and then I'll let the chairman, if he's got anything to say or if there's any questions, Gilman has some equipment. Mr. Bowers talked earlier about what a new squad costs, and that new squad with the equipment we purchased and that to put it in right now is running us about $50,000 per vehicle. They have a 3-year-old SUV squad car police package that's got about 26,000 miles on it. It is equipped. It's got the lights, it's got the radio, it's got the cage, it's got the radar already in it. They also have a couple of the laptop computers that are the exact same that we use, that the deputies use for the sheriff's office, that and a computer mount in the squad car. They had some tasers, a couple of shotguns, a few other items of equipment for their police department that they were wanting to sell to us. So that being said, we put together what we thought those items were worth, and they looked into it, and roughly my suggestion would be the county buy the squad car and buy that equipment from them, and we're looking at roughly around $40,000 for everything I mentioned. That's a squad car with all the equipment in it. That's the 2 computers. It's 2 or 3 tasers, 2 shotguns. What's that? Yeah, the Tough Book 33 computers, which is what we use already. There'd be 2 of those. So that being said, it would be a benefit to the county to have those things, because obviously we're going to have to hire, if this goes through, we would have to hire a deputy. That deputy's going to have a squad car and whatnot. So lastly, there was talk about how long the contract would be. It could be a 1-year contract, and both sides take a look at it then and see if it's beneficial and continue it. It could be a 1-year contract with a continuance clause in it that if neither side pulls out, it continues. Once that contract is approved by both and it goes into effect, in reality, 99% of the language is going to stay the same in it. The only thing that when you renew it is going to be the numbers, because the costs obviously for the salary and benefits are going to go up. So it would it could be for however long either side would want it. I don't know of many communities that have contracted with county sheriffs for coverage that back out of it. Most of them are happy with it and stay with it, and it goes long term. St. Joe down in Champaign County, which is probably 4,500, 5,000 people, and Savoy, which is I think over 10,000, have for decades contracted with the Champaign County Sheriff. Neither place has their own police department. They contract. They're happy with it, so I don't see a lot of places that are unhappy with it, because it's a service for them and a service to them with less liability. Mr. Chairman?
I guess as far as the length of the contract is concerned, one of the reasons for suggesting a 1-year contract is to give both sides an opportunity to make whatever adjustments there are and so forth. I agree that I don't think it's likely that the contract needs to be terminated, but every contract has termination language in it anyway, so
sure.
If it's a 20-year contract, you can still terminate it with proper notice and so forth. So, to me, the real issue that we have to confront is the ICOM situation. Right now in our budget, proposed budget for next year, we've got $18,378.45 has to be the contribution or transfer from the police departments in the counties. And if obliterate this or remove this from the Gilman contract and go to other towns such as Cissna Park, we're gonna be looking at the same thing. And eventually we might have an $18,000 hole. So I think as a board, we have to figure out a way to fill that hole. And one of the suggestions that was made at the meeting that we had on September 1st was that instead of building these different departments, we should build the townships. And that might be something that would work. I don't know that we have the authority to do that. I haven't talked to the state's attorney about that aspect of it, but we also have other towns, some townships where that might be a problem, but in any case, it's somewhat of a revolutionary concept that I think we need to study and look at pretty carefully before we want to go down that particular road. I do think that it would be a good idea if we could come up with a plan for funding joint dispatch that didn't have the controversies associated with it that we have had. It isn't just Gilman that's objected to paying this money. The Crescent Iroquois Ambulance Service is objected to it also. And there's been a couple fire districts that have questioned it. So it's something I think that you know, a lot of the burden is falling on myself and Amanda to try and administer that. And I think we could make better use of our time, to be perfectly honest about it. So I think it's something that the board needs to take up. If we want to go ahead and make this contract with Gilman with the understanding that we're going to try and revolutionize or study again the funding for ICOM, I guess that's fine, but I'm not in favor of approving this without some resolution or some idea how we're gonna handle the ICOM part of it. So other than that, I think the only other thing I can see here is that if we're gonna be paying Gilman $40,000 for that squad car, then we gotta figure out how we're gonna charge back in the contract for that.
Yeah, I mean.
That's to be negotiated.
Yeah, yes.
Well, I mean, because these numbers don't include anything for the vehicle.
They do not.
So if we own the vehicle, well, we gotta.
I thought we had discussed it being separate from the contract.
What?
I thought we had discussed it being separate from the contract.
The purchase of their equipment is separate from the contract.
Right.
But the contract needs to include how much they're gonna pay us for the use of the equipment.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
Okay. And the reason we don't have that number here is because we haven't negotiated what the price is gonna be.
So I guess what I'm looking for here is if the committee would like us to continue negotiations with them, we can set up a couple more meetings yet, probably this month, to sit down with Gilman. I know they're gonna talk about it the Monday before, next Monday, I think, is their board meeting. They're gonna talk about it then, and if the committee wants us to keep sitting down, talking with them until we can get something ironed out, we'll do that. If it's something that you don't wanna do, we won't.
And to that end, I might add, I think that the part about the ICOM is that's on us right now to, you know, like I said, we have to determine, are we gonna come up with a different plan to fund that or not? It's an issue that's been going on for quite a few years, and it's not one that I'm happy with, and we need to find a better way to do it.
And that being said, it's funding dispatch is not, the problem with it is not unique to Iroquois County. There's dispatch centers across the United States that's a headache for a lot of government entities, is how they're funding it and such. So, and how they go about to recoup any costs they can have in that funding. So it's not like everybody else around us is doing fine and we're the ones that are struggling trying to figure out how to finance this stuff.
Eric, did you have a question?
Yeah. When we talked about the burden of dispatching, to your point, I don't think it's overly burdensome to add one more deputy or any police officer to be brought in and have to dispatch them when they're doing traffic stops or handling emergency calls, etc. But it is a point that it is additional burden. It is an additional person that we are maintaining on our side of it, making sure that they're getting their safety checks and everything. So while it's not overly burdensome and we already have the staff there, it's not creating such a burden that we have to consider another FTE to cover that. But it is something to make sure that you bear in mind, because as you're deciding what you want to do with the funds on there, yes, more officers on the road means there are more for us to do. So it does create additional burden, not so catastrophic though that it's so much additional work that we have to consider additional people.
One thing that's interesting about the suggestion that Gilman made about having the townships pay for this is that if that were the case and the townships build the different towns, Gilman would wind up paying a huge amount more than they are today.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because it's cost $600,000 to run dispatch. And if you divide that by the 27,077 residents in the county, that's $22.25 per head. There's 1,500 people approximately in Gilman. That's $30-some thousand versus the 2,200 that we're asking them to pay for an ICOM pay. I mean, that's one way of looking at it, and I'm not saying that their suggestion is a bad one, but I mean, these are some of the things that are a part of it, and we just need, as a board, I think if we're gonna approve this, I think we need to commit to reviewing that whole aspect of how we operate with joint dispatch and how we fund it, and come up with something that not only we are comfortable with, but all the different agencies in the county that are served are comfortable with it as well. Because right now there are agencies that are not comfortable with it, that's why we have problems. So I think this board needs to commit to reviewing that whole program and coming up with something that's gonna work.
Sure.
And I mean, that's my feeling about it, and as far as approving this is concerned, I'd like to approve it. I think it's a good thing. I think the concept of improving the quality and competence of law enforcement in the county is a good thing. I think it's a duty of this board and everybody that's involved with law enforcement. We want to have as good and competent force throughout the county that we can possibly have. We obviously know there's some areas of law enforcement that need to be upgraded or improved upon, and this is one way to do it. And we know that Cissna Park is I guess, maybe the next one on the list. There's talk of including Buckley and Loda in that mix. I don't know how that contract would look compared to Gilman, probably not exactly the same, but the ICOM part of it is gonna still be an issue there. So I think, to me, there's also the possibility of some of the other towns in the county wanting to get involved with something like this as well. And so, you know, we need to commit to coming up with a plan that's gonna work.
My question, you said that it's a nationwide program. There must be a lot of different kind of programs throughout the country then that differ a lot from the next one door neighbor even practically, right?
From how they fund the dispatch, yeah, sure, there is.
Should that be reviewed to figure out?
Well, I mean, that's above my pay grade, so that would be something for the feds to decide to do, but, you know, there's dispatch centers across the country that are screaming for money, so it's not just unique to us. And how do you fund that? Do you put it all on the cell phone companies? Do you up the charges for everybody that has a cell phone? Do you put it on their property bill? do you build it by townships? Do you build, I mean, there's all different ways of coming up with those costs, but what's the best way to come up to pay for that for Iroquois County is the question.
Yep, it's still a cost and a tax that has to be borne by the people. Every tax in this country is borne by the people. Mrs. Crowe and,
Oh, I'm sorry.
The other thing is Milford has a unique situation in that we have a privately funded ambulance, and we're paying two fees. The fire department pays one and the ambulance pays one. So that would be a unique situation to deal with. But I know for a long time, Anarga hasn't had an ambulance. Stockland doesn't have an ambulance. Milford covers it. And I think that there's something long-term that we need to look at as well for the funding aspect. In the last 30 days, we've got 2 fellows, and they can't leave town at the same time, or we don't have somebody to cover our ambulance. And in the last 30 days, we had a situation where both of those fellows were down sick with COVID, and we had to send a call to Watsika for an ambulance. And I think that we are begging for fire department personnel and for ambulance people because they're simply not available during the day. I think all the fire departments are beginning to see problems with the volunteer departments like this. And I'm not saying it's going to happen today or tomorrow, but I think that's a very changing situation. And in the years down the road, 5-10 years, we don't know what that's going to look like either, as far as what our services are going to be and how they're going to be provided, thereby affecting how you're going to fund your 911 and those contracts. So that is happening, and communities are giving up their ambulances all the time, and fire departments are getting smaller and have fewer personnel. So I mean, it's a thing.
If I can tag into Donna's comments, the problems are exactly on point. Milford is not unique in this circumstances. There's a couple of other departments that have the exact same challenges and trials. Crescent Iroquois is another example of this. They have separate fire versus their ambulance. They're expected to pay a separate fee for the ambulance as they are for the fire. And there's other departments throughout Iroquois County that have a similar challenge, that if their main people aren't there, services are going to have to be mutual aid from somewhere else. So she is exactly on point with what she's saying. Our fire departments aren't getting any bigger, nor are our EMS departments, at least the volunteer services. So 10 years down the road, we may have a very different budget.
well, that's another thing that enters into that part of the conversation as well, and that is that in many instances, if you require the services of an ambulance, you'll be billed for that, you as the individual. You require the services of a sheriff's deputy, you're not billed for that. So, I mean, these are some of the things that I think we have to, as a county, look at. The bottom line is how we're gonna come up with $600,000 every year right now, so. All I'm asking is that if the board will commit to reviewing and coming up with a better plan, then I think we ought to go ahead and, as the sheriff said, continue our negotiations with Gilman and work towards approving an agreement with them. So, that's where I'm at.
I'll get a hold of the mayor and we'll get some more meetings set up and go forward.
If anybody doesn't think we should be doing that, now's the time to say so.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to budget hearing discussion.
Okay, so, to go through budgets with getting some of the insurance stuff, that's gonna need to be changed, obviously. But so far for the general fund, well, you all probably want your handouts first, right, Charlie?
need more paper?
Yeah, I'm just gonna, put everything here tonight, but, basically the general fund right now, we are showing that, we are in the positive $70,811, and the reason for that is because Mr. Kurt Albers came and talked to me a couple days ago about the replacement tax and what he received from the state about it. Going to be about $75,000. We're going to receive $75,000 more than what he originally had put down for his revenue budget. So that's where the 70,000 plus comes in as far as our preliminary numbers. Now, again, I do have to go in and adjust dependent on what we decide for insurances. So don't get too excited about that $70,000 plus until we have those numbers in. If you look at the second page, I always like to include the contract wages. It was decided at our last meeting to mirror the 2.75 for anybody making $13 or less, or I'm sorry, $13 or more, and then 4% for anybody making under that $13 mark, just to keep us in line with the minimum wage requirements. Some items that still need to be discussed: the county farm that was decided, those numbers have been input into the budget. I still haven't gotten a firm IDA transfer amount request, so it's still sitting at 17.5. I've had some discussion with Angel. We just need to, she needs to come back with a number for me. And then the police contracts, again, we're kind of waiting on that finalization. The shared portion of the CAD software, I was told, was tabled by ETSB, so we don't need to, I can take that off the list. The public safety tax fund, so far, there's the $200,000 request for 4 vehicles from the sheriff.
Jill, could I interject? I wouldn't completely remove the CAD software question off your list yet. I just put that conversation on pause until next month until I figure out what's going on with their phone system.
Okay. And then, go backwards, the $200,000 from sheriff for 4 vehicles, and then I believe it was $59,000 for joint dispatch salary subsidies. Number 6 that I have on there is the phone system from the courthouse, which we may be doing in this fiscal year rather than FY22. I also like to include the revenue sheet for the FY22 budget. Those are the numbers that are currently sitting in there, which is showing $6,051,000, $678. Thank you. Any questions? I did just receive yesterday the health department budget, so I will be putting that in. They are requesting $90,000 for the property tax levy amount, which is a lot lower than they normally do, but I know they've gotten a lot of grants.
The other thing to do is the animal control director needs to be appointed and salary initiated, right? Yeah, we need to go into executive session and discuss that.
Okay.
Joe is trying to make it.
Okay, I'll make
a motion.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make a motion to go into executive section per 5 ILCS 120/2. Appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body or legal counsel for the public body. Security procedures.
That's it. Just that.
That's it.
That's all.
Just that one.
Thank you, Joe.
You
So here a second for that. Steve seconds it. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Going to executive session at 11:09 a.m.
Charlie horse the whole time.